Welcome back to the coaching circle. And today I'm talking about one of my favorite topics, and it is one of the key things that I've learned, and it's all about language. And so I'm talking about the power of positive language for communicating your impact and how you can influence people in a positive way. Now, one of the things that I always tell people and I talk about is, especially with my clients, when it comes to creating change in your life, it is really understanding that your words do not describe your reality, they create your reality. And so we really have to understand that our language is one of the most powerful tools that we have. And in fact, it's when I say it describes our reality, even if you look at the word language, it's like language. You're gauging, you're measuring your reality through your language. You're putting a measurement on it. And so we want to be really clear and mindful about our language and understanding language. And I can honestly say that learning NLP, and of course, if you know me, my background, I spent 8 years teaching NLP. I was an NLP master trainer. There's loads of great techniques in NLP, but the key thing that I think was the most valuable out of learning NLP was the language. That's not what I got when I first learned it. When I first learned it was all the techniques. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. But the more I got into NLP and the more I taught it and the more I understood it, the more I mastered it, the more I realized just how important it is to understand language and the structure of language. And so when you can understand how to use language with intention, with precision, you don't just communicate something, you influence yourself, you influence people around you. And this is important in all areas of our life. And of course, business, because this is what I primarily talk about and who I primarily work with are people in business or business leaders. And having the right language will help you magnetize opportunities, help you magnetize the right people, help you influence people in the way that's going to have a positive impact on everyone involved, and really help you get the results or create the results, right, that you actually want. And I was reminded of this just the other day. Actually, I was at a networking event. It was actually a session run by my local council for small business. And there was a guy there who I've seen before talking about grant writing, because there's a hot tip for you. If you're in business, go to your local council and find out what's available for you in your local council. So the council that your business is registered in, just about every council, and certainly in South Australia, but just about every council is supporting small business. And I'll tell you why shortly. But see what grants they've got available, services, even, for example, there might be room hire and things in local community centres that you can get for free and cheap and all those kinds of things. So it's really worthwhile being involved with your local council. However, this session that I was at, the guy who was running it, David Rawlings, I think, Landmark Media, I think is his business. He's a copywriter, he lectures, and he's been involved in a lot of grant writing and assessing of grants. And something that he said really stuck with me, and that is that you really need to think of grant funding as a partnership with the council or the government, not as a handout or not as cash flow, he said. So it's not there for like, oh, I've just got my hand out, I'm going to get some cash that's going to help me in my business. You've really got to think about it as a partnership between you and the council or the government, wherever that funding's coming from, because they're essentially creating these grants so that they can have people partner with them to create the types of outcomes that they want to see in the community. And this is really important. This sentence really stuck out to me because it's not just true for grant writing, it's true for business, marketing, relationships, parenting, everything that you do when you're communicating, you are always influencing other people. So when you start communicating from partnership and impact rather than approval and need, you stop trying to prove your value and you start demonstrating it. And this is super, super powerful. So, like I said, I spent a lot of years teaching NLP. over 8 years, I think, I was actually teaching NLP for. And in that, we know that our language is not neutral. There's always an impact of our language. So every word either expands possibility or contracts it. So we really want to think about how are we using language and using it with volition, so purposefully, intentionally. And when you hear phrases like "I'll try," right? You know, refer to Yoda. There is no try, do or do not. Take things like "I'll try" out of your vocabulary, and I'll give you a really good example of that. You know, if someone invites you to an event and you think, I don't think I really want to go to that event, but you don't want to tell them that, what do you say? I'll try and get there. Yeah, but it's pretty much saying I don't want to go. There's something else that's going to be more important to me that day. So I'll try presupposes doubt. It even presupposes failure, right? That I'll try, I don't expect I'm going to get the result. That doesn't give anyone any certainty. So you want to use language, instead of saying I'll try, replace it with I will or I am. Right? This is an important shift in how your language, what you'll communicate, but it will transform your actions. Okay, because if you're saying I'll try, you're giving yourself an out. Right? So be really clear about what it is you're actually committed to, because certainty influences people. You have to know this. It's the same with, there's something called comparatives or comparative deletions. And that's words like better, calmer, stronger. And anything with that sort of ER on the end is a comparison. So it's comparing it to something else. And so if you say, look, you work with me and you'll feel better, well, better than what? Better than, like being, I don't know, depressed? What's better than being depressed? Being a bit sad? Is that really an outcome that you want? Feeling calmer than what? Calmer than being in an absolute panic? Is that really the outcome you want? So we really want to be clear and positive. So instead of having those comparatives, you want to use language that's complete and that it's certain. So you say, you'll be calm, you will be clear, you'll be focused. Right? That's the type of positive language that we're talking about, because you are then, if you're enrolling somebody in that, then they know that that is what their intention is as well. Right? So we've got to be really clear about what are we putting out there that we're inviting people to or enrolling people to or demonstrating about ourselves, and being really clear about what we actually want, not leaving it vague and open for any type of result to roll on in, because that's not what we're after. And it's the same as well when we use negative language, because I spoke a bit about this in last week's podcast as well, actually. Not bad, feeling not bad is not the same as feeling good. We have to be really clear about that. So you want to avoid negatives. So if you're saying, I don't want to feel stressed, what does that even mean? Okay, so if we take out stressed, what's even there? You could be angry, sad, mad, happy, excited. It could be anything. So it's not just a matter of what something's not. We want to know what something is. That's the positive representation. So when we think about language, we really think about using our language to create a positive representation of what we actually will have as a result. Okay, so instead of saying I don't want to feel stressed, you could say I feel calm and capable. That is a very different picture. If you think about I don't want to feel stressed, what do you even picture? Right? Well, your brain can't process negatives directly. So it's going to think of someone stressed because feeling stressed is in that sentence. That's the vision that you're creating, right? And then you've got to go, oh, stressed. Yeah, no, I don't want to feel that. But what does it give you? Nothing of any use. Whereas if you say, I feel calm and capable, or I want to feel calm and capable, or I will feel calm and capable, then what picture have you got in your mind? You're creating a vision of calm and capable. So these are two very different things. So we don't want to use those negatives. We do want to use the positives, because your words program your results. Okay, and sometimes using a negative might be relevant to tell people what you don't want to do or don't want them to do, but you then need to follow it up with a positive. Okay, it's the same as how you speak to children. If you just tell a child, don't run out on the road, all they're going to think about is run out on the road. That's the image they're going to have in their mind. So it might be relevant to say, don't run out on the road, but you would follow that up with, stand right next to me and hold my hand. That's the positive outcome that you want them to have in their mind. And so positive language and precision language builds certainty. Because if we're too abstract and we're too vague and we're using too many negatives, it does not give certainty. It does not give a clear, specific result. And so people have to try to imagine in their own mind what you might mean. And as soon as there's any kind of confusion, you will lose people. If people have to go internal and try to work out what you actually mean, you're going to lose them. Or if they go internal and have some kind of negative image in their head, they're not going to feel inspired or motivated about that. So you want to be really clear about using positive language that creates a clear picture of a result that people are going to say, yes, I want to be enrolled in that result as well. Now, this isn't about being perfect, right? Learning language and fine-tuning your language is definitely something that will be a practice that you do. And you can correct your language on the spot as you go, right? There's no, oh, you're doing things wrong. You can always hear and adjust and correct as you go along. But the thing you have to remember is that people aren't looking for perfection. They are looking for clarity. They're looking for clarity. They're looking for a clear path, a clear vision, a clear picture. They want to know where they're going. And so they want someone who has certainty and who communicates certainty as something that they can trust and that they can be enrolled with. It tells them that you know where you're going and makes people feel safe to come with you, because there's no uncertainty for them about where you're going if you've clearly communicated in positive language what that vision is and where you're going. Now, certainty also doesn't mean that you know every single detail about everything that's ever going to happen. It does mean, however, that you speak with conviction. Having certainty means that you will work it out as you go along. You know where you're going and you trust that you will be able to get there without knowing every single detail. And when you paint a picture of what it is that you're creating, so it's sensory based, so it makes it really easy for people to form a representation of that in their own mind, then you give people clarity where you're headed and where they're going to go, whether they want to get on board with that. Okay, this is also, we can talk about this as future pacing, using language that helps someone imagine the result as if it's already achieved. So they get experience of what would that be like to have that outcome. And that is what activates emotion in people. And emotion is energy in motion. Right? So it creates motivation. People always will make a decision, an emotion-backed decision, and then back that up with logic. Okay, but the emotion piece has to be there to start with, to get people, the energy to get people in action. That comes from emotion. So when you think about this from a perspective of what you do in your business, instead of, so for me, I'm a business coach and I'm a mindset mentor. So I do a lot of work with people, helping them to structure their business, make sure, especially with other coaches and wellbeing practitioners and service-based providers, making sure that they understand their revenue capacity and their income and expenses and how much they need to pay themselves, and does that work into the amount of time that they want to be working for, and all those things. Create that structure, the systems, the processes, make sure they're being supported, got boundaries around their time, their income, the energy exchange, all those kinds of things. And I also do a lot of work with people's mindset, making sure they're aligned, making sure that they are processing anything that doesn't support them in achieving their goals. Okay, now I can say all that, but that's great, but it might be a little bit vague, a little bit abstract. But what I clearly do is that I help business owners create financial freedom so they can spend more time with their family, travel when they want to travel, and know their business keeps growing even when they're not working in it. That's what people want. That's a real clear picture. That's not wishful, that's certain. And it helps people see themselves inside of that outcome. And this is what I'm super passionate about. This is what I've created for myself. I have a business that is a 6-figure business. It pays me every single week of the year, regardless if I'm here, if I'm away, if I'm seeing clients or I'm not. I know all of the numbers in that. I know what I need to do. It's all managed. I pay all my BAS and super and all those things, wages, all those things on time. And I get to work with the clients that I love. I get to work from home, which means I miss any peak hour traffic. I see clients 3 days a week in a time frame between 10 and 6 that suits me. I take at least 6 weeks off a year. I have the flexibility of my time and my calendar so that I can do the things that are important to me, which is walking, going to the gym, doing self-care things, spending time with my family who also don't work regular 9 to 5 type hours. All of that is the picture that I'm creating so that my business is one that supports me, that I feel like I'm being able to express myself, what I'm passionate about. I've got space to be creative. I'm making an impact on the world. I'm helping people do what it is that they love and do it with greater impact. This is the real vision. This is the real picture of what's actually happening. Okay, I'm not just helping people get rid of anxiety. I'm not just helping people with their mindset. I'm helping them create the results that they actually want. So I want you to think about that for you and your business. What is it that you help people do? What is it? What are the results? What is it that you're passionate about? What is your vision? What's the impact that you want to make? Because when you start thinking in the terms of the impact that you want to make, it changes everything. The way you speak about your work, the decisions you make and the energy behind them. And it's not just about the service that you offer or how hard you work. It's about why you do it, who it helps, and what changes because of it. So for me, I often talk about having a vision-led business. And I don't believe that it's just an optional thing or a nice to have. I think it's essential. I believe it's essential. And I'm super passionate about small business, small and medium-sized business, because they are the heartbeat of our communities. And in fact, right here in South Australia, and I got this from the Department of Small and Family Business just recently, there are 160,000 small businesses operating in South Australia, and that's 98% of all the businesses in the state. And they employ around 40% of the workforce and account for more than a quarter of all the wages and salaries that are paid in South Australia. That's massive. It's a very big part of our community. And our community, of course, is what we live in. And so these are the people who are out there making a difference. They're supporting families, they're creating jobs, they're driving innovation. And yet these are also the same people that are likely to feel the impact of stress and burnout and financial pressure. And I've seen firsthand the damage that that can do to families and to relationships and people's mental health. And so that's why I do what I do. I see that by helping businesses and business owners truly get what they want, which could be their lifestyle, their legacy, the impact that they want to make, and they build the mindset and the business structure that allows them to live it, it makes a big difference. It makes a big difference about how many people they help and the quality of the help that they create. Of how many people that they employ, the amount of money that they make and then spend back in our state. All of this is so important, right? And this is why I'm so passionate about it. So by helping businesses do that, I feel like I'm serving my purpose. It's what keeps me going every day. And that's why I model this on myself. I make sure my business supports my lifestyle so that I can demonstrate that to other people. Because when your business supports your life, you have the capacity to create a far greater impact in your family and your community and the world around you. That's what being vision-led is really about. It's not about working harder, it's about working on purpose. And this is the thing that I know about small businesses, is that when small businesses do well, they support other small businesses. So for example, I support a cleaner. I have a cleaner. I have a gardener. There's other small businesses that I work with and support, even just referring other small businesses to make sure that they succeed. But it's all part of what's really important to me and the impact that I want to have on the community that we live in. So think about this with your work, because whatever it is that you do, whether you're a relationship coach or a massage therapist or a naturopath or a mortgage broker, or perhaps you do web design, life coach, there's so many things, so many businesses out there that are helping people. But I really want you to think about not just what you do, but what is the ultimate outcome you want to help people with? What is the ripple effect? What is the bigger picture of all of that? And so when I speak about my business and I think about this, I could say, well, I'm a business and I'm a mindset coach, but what I actually do is help people align their business so it supports their lifestyle and creates the kind of income that funds the life that they want. Right? So if I think about what does this look like in real terms, well, I've helped one of my clients eliminate stress and anxiety so that he could stop having panic attacks and stop trying to manage all of his stress and anxiety with alcohol, so that he could keep scaling his 8-figure business towards his $1 billion goal. And he tells me that having me on his side is worth millions to him. And because he can continue to grow his business, his own family business, he's employing so many people in the state. He's bringing so much money into the state that he spends in the state, that he supports communities with, and he helps his staff. That is impactful. He wouldn't be having that same impact if he could not handle the stress and anxiety that had come with growing such a rapidly growing business that he does. So that's important work. Right? That's what I'm helping people do. Another one of my clients was completely burnt out, and I worked with her to work out what it is she actually wanted. She decided she wanted to be semi-retired so that she had lifestyle, and so we looked at her whole revenue capacity and worked out what the numbers actually were, and helped create some KPIs for her staff, and completely changed the whole landscape of her business, but also the thinking about her business, so that now, in less than a year, she is semi-retired. She's written 2 books. She's out speaking. She's a leader in her industry. She's traveling when she wants to. She's completely changed that, and she's out making a bigger impact on the world. Right, from feeling like, oh, can I actually keep doing this anymore? She's now having a greater impact. That is the picture of what I do and why this work is really important to me. Another client that I work with, I've helped him to create a 6-figure business. He never thought he would be able to do that in his business, service-based business. But we got really specific about all of the numbers, added in automation to take some of the pressure off him from doing everything manually, made sure he understood like exactly what he was aiming for each week, how to structure his week so that he wasn't just on all the time and burning himself out, that he actually had time to go away with his family on weekends, to go to the gym, to take time out, do all those kinds of things, and do the community activities that he likes doing as well, but know that he's got the structure there supporting him. And in that, having that clarity has given him more time and got him to hit his 6-figure goal, which keeps increasing each year. That's the kind of impact, right? He's more confident, he's more relaxed, he's got more time for himself, he's doing more of what he loves. That's so important, right? It's not just business and mindset coaching, that's the outcomes. And so this is the difference between just describing what you do and declaring what it does. What is that outcome? What is that vision? And like I said, this doesn't just apply to business. It's universal. Whether you're applying for a grant and you really are working in a partnership with the grant funders and letting them know how your if you were to receive that grant funding, how you would help them create the impact that they want to create. Whether you're sharing your vision on a stage to motivate people or inspire people, or even if you're inviting your friends to an event, people aren't going to respond to the logic. They're going to respond to your energy, to your certainty, and to your vision. That's influence. It's helping people walk towards an outcome that they want to experience. And when you speak with conviction, you give people a sense of possibility. And when you describe the experience, what it feels like, what they'll gain, what it creates, then they can see themselves in it. And this is really important. This is influence. Influence isn't just persuasion, it's about clarity and contribution. What is that contribution? What is that vision? What is that impact that you want to make? That's not just about you, right? And who you are and how good you are. It's about what do others get? Because this is so important, right? This is 2 of the most important human needs, as according to the 6 human needs, being certainty, uncertainty, love, and significance. Those 4 are important, but the 2 main ones are growth and contribution. Are you continuing to grow and learn and then contribute? Contribution, what are you contributing? Using positive language around that. Using, like I said at the start, using positive language around what you're contributing doesn't just describe that as a reality, but it creates it as a reality. You're speaking into existence. And like I said, people don't want to just hear about how good you are. They want to understand what's in it for them. What can you help them achieve? What energy and vision do you bring to the party? Right? What kind of world are they stepping into when they work with you? So I could talk about language all day. And I could. I have. I spent years doing it, speaking about language, teaching about people about language, and I love language. So I want to give you some more ideas around language and how to use language for impact. So let's think about this. How can you bring this thinking about language into everything that you say and you write, right, and you share? So first of all, use things like I will, I am, instead of I'll try. Okay, we spoke about that one. Speak in positives. So positives don't just mean, oh, everything's happy and everything's great. Positives is describing what you want to create, not what you're avoiding. So when we think about positive and negative, you can have, if I was, holding my Apple Pencil here, this is a positive representation of my Apple Pencil. And if you're not watching the video, imagine I'm holding up an Apple Pencil, because I am. But then if I take that Apple Pencil away and I've still got my hand there, and I could say, I'm not holding an Apple Pencil. Okay, I'm not holding an Apple Pencil, great, but what am I actually doing? Well, the positive representation of that would be I'm holding my hand in the air. That's all that it is. So positive representation is what is actually there, not what's not actually there. Okay? Or what you actually want, not what you don't want to be there. Because what you want and what you don't want are not the same thing. Speak about what it is you want, the positive representation of what you actually want. And then really anchor your message into the present and the future. So talk about what you're building, what people will experience working with you. Together we will. It helps people anchor into that and get that clear vision. Also, avoid minimizing language. Saying just is one I've had to do a lot of practice of taking out of my vocabulary. Oh, I'm just touching base. Oh, I'll just reach out. Don't say just, it's minimizing. Just say what you're going to say. Same as maybe. Oh, maybe you could. Maybe we could. How about we will? Or kind of. I've kind of thinking is much different than this is what we'll do. Those minimizers like just and maybe and kind of, they dilute your authority. They don't give people certainty about what it is that you're going to do. Also, but. Take but out of your language and replace it with and. Replacing but with and gets your language to be inclusive rather than oppositional. So if you've ever heard anyone say, oh yeah, I really understand, but you don't think that they understand anything. They're going, oh yeah, whatever you said, I'm disregarding. This is what I actually think. Whereas if you use and, like I appreciate that this is what's happened in the past and this is what we're doing now. It's very different language. And of course, using sensory-based language, right? Sensory-rich language helps people see, right? Helps people get a picture in their mind of what they'll see, of what they'll hear, and what they will feel in that impact. People need to have a representation of what it will actually be. So the more you can describe that, the more that they can step into that vision and then feel familiar with it and choose that. It's very hard to choose something that's vague. Choose something that's specific, that people can get a real clear picture of. And make sure that you're including your vision. Talk about what it is that you're creating and why that matters. People want to be enrolled into something that is important. People want to have a bigger vision. They want to feel like there is meaning in their life. Create that meaning for yourself and enroll people in it. It's part of service. So I want you to think about this in every conversation. Like I said, it is a practice. The more awareness you have, the more ability you'll have to create change in your language. So for every conversation, whether it's in your business, as a leader, or in your life, your relationships with your kids, it's always an opportunity to create impact. And that impact begins with your language. So when you speak with certainty, you build trust. When you paint a clear vision, you create momentum. And when you tie it back to the results and the impact that you create, then people naturally want to be part of it. So the next time you're talking about your work or your business, remember, you're not describing what you do, you're declaring what it actually does. You're not proving your value, you're demonstrating your vision. And that's how positive language creates powerful and lasting influence. Tell people about where you're going, where you're going to take them, less about where you've been and what you do. So I'd love to hear your feedback about this episode. If you'd like more on language, let me know. I love getting feedback each, episode. I get people messaging me or emailing me or sending me text messages and, messages on Instagram and Facebook. And I love that. So if you've got some thoughts about this, or you've got some questions or something else you'd like me to talk about, send me a message. If you'd like more on language, ask me about that as well, because I'm super passionate about language and the impact that it has on people's lives. And I'm here to help. It's what lights me up. Of course, if this has been super helpful and you know someone that would really benefit from it, please share it with them. I'd appreciate that a lot, and so will they. Have a fabulous day.